Welcome to the second how-to video in Jodie's sampler, the block of the month that you'll find on quiltersclubofamerica.com. Last month we made the center section, which is the bricks, and that was pretty darn easy. Well, now this part is the most challenging part of the quilt. We're going to be doing the flying geese, and they use a few little techniques like some angles and things that are a little bit more difficult, but what I did was when I designed it, I had you cut everything oversized, then you piece them, and then you trim it down so the flying geese won't be so difficult. But do know this is the hardest part. Once you get through these, it's all downhill from here, and then you get the satisfaction of starting to put the quilt together. I don't know about you, but I like to see my progress as I go along. Now, with the flying geese, we're not using a traditional way of making them because they're long and skinny. So like there's a wonderful Fons and Porter ruler, and there are other rulers made for making flying geese, but those are only if the geese themselves are twice as long as they are tall, and these aren't. These are stretched out, which gives them the look we wanted. So you'll find on the website, you'll find some templates for the flying geese. In the instructions in this video, I'll show you how to use them. The first thing you'll do is make each individual flying goose little block, and then you'll sew 3 of them together, and then you'll sew those sets together. On the top we have 3 going across, 1, 2, 3, yes. And then we have sets of 4 going on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll be the same for the top and the bottom. So you'll need to make 14 sets of 3 flying geese, so 42 individual geese blocks. So that's where we're going to start, by making the individual geese blocks. The block consists of 3 parts, though there are only 2 templates. The geese part, as I called it, is this blue one. It's the long triangle. And we're going to cut that one first. First, you cut 4.5-inch wide strips out of your green fabric, in this case for the 30s fabric. You get 5 geese pieces per strip, so you'll need to cut 9 strips in order to get enough triangles for your quilt top. Match the bottom edge of the template to one long side of a strip. Lay your ruler on top and cut. Do the same for the other side of the template. Cut 42 of these triangles for your geese. For the background of the geese, and remember you'll need 2 of these for each of your flying geese blocks, you're going to cut the blue fabric and cut it 5 inches wide. And the reason I'm having you cut it 5 inches wide, remember, is that then we're going to make our blocks a little big so that if they aren't perfect, you can trim them down and make them perfect in the trimming. I was glad to do it that way, so I'm sure you will be too. Cut 10 strips of the blue, each 5 inches wide, and then cut these into 7-inch segments. Now, when you've cut those into the 7-inch segments, then cut each of those diagonally across, so you'll have 2 funny shaped triangles when you finish. Now, lay out your block and flip one of those blue triangles over the green geese triangle. The wonderful folks in Iowa made the template that you're using so much nicer than mine. Mine just had the points, but that template that they made will make it much easier for you to match up when you go to put these pieces together. Now, take this over to your sewing machine and stitch the 2 pieces together. Press the seam allowances towards the blue background. Do the same for the second background piece and repeat until you have 42 geese blocks made. Now you need to trim your geese blocks, and they need to be trimmed to 4.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Now we all have these 6 by 12 inch rulers, which is great, but it's too small for this. Now this ruler is huge. It's 14 by 8, and it will work perfectly for this, but you'll also find a lot of times it'll work real well. I'm always cutting things that are 6 inches. They need to be 6 inches finished. So the 6-inch ruler doesn't work. I need 6.5. So that's why this is useful for this technique right now, but will also be useful in your other quilt making. So I suggest you grab one. Since we want our block to finish 4.5 by 12.5, I am lining up the 6.25 inch mark with that point at the top of the triangle. Because I'm right-handed, I have the lower numbers to my right. I simply trim the extra fabric away. Note that because these are large pieces, I found that my geese triangles had stretched out of whack a little. If you find that the bottom edge isn't straight, line it up on a line on your pressing surface and use some steam to encourage it to straighten. Do this before you trim your blocks. Now turn your block 180 degrees and trim the other side and the top and bottom as needed until it is 4.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Now stitch your geese blocks into sets of 3. I like to use a stiletto or the point of a seam ripper to help seam joins through the presser foot cleanly, as you can see I'm doing here. Sew all the sets together and press. Now that you have your sets of 3 geese blocks sewn together, you can sew them into the strips that you'll be sewing onto your quilt top next month. Make one set of 3 by 3, another set of 3 by 3, that takes care of the top and the bottom of the quilt, and then a set of 4 across and a set of 4 across for the sides. Now you're way ahead of the game because next month those friendship stars in the corner are so easy. So they won't take you any time, and then you can put that first row all the right way around your bricks and get some great satisfaction. I just love to see the quilts coming along. So go to QCA and join in the fun, keep up on the forums, and have fun making your Block of the Month quilt.